For years, the Department of Veterans Affairs has faced lengthy delays with its disability benefits program. Congress responded with a new law to expedite and streamline the appeals process, but the backlog remained at over 270,000 appeals. Then Mary Frances Matthews stepped in. She's Assistant Decision Review Operations Center Manager at the VA and a finalist for the Service to America Medal in the Management Excellence category. Mary Frances, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Mimi, for having me on.
So what exactly was the problem here? Why were appeals taking years to process?
Well, Mimi, as you alluded to in your introduction, VA process more and more benefits claims every year. So as the claims increase, as the number of decisions that we were completing increased, the number of appeals also increased in tandem. But what we found was that there was a mismatch between where those appeals were filed, meaning which states and which of our 56 regional offices received those appeals, and the number of highly trained appeals processors that we had within those offices. And so that was our largest challenge, was finding a way to overcome the mismatch between the resources in our appeals personnel and the number of appeals at each office.
So essentially, if somebody filed an appeal, say in Utah, that would be handled by an office in Utah, and there might not be enough people. It could have been handled somewhere else, but that wasn't the process at the time.
That is correct.
All right. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And two, something else to point out, that some states have much larger veteran populations as well. And so that really fed into, creating the large inventory as well.
So where do you start then in tackling the backlogs while new ones keep coming in?
Sure. Well, one of the first things that I did is, and I worked with a team of analysts in the Washington, D.C. office, and we really took a look at each of the appeals stages and the inventories within each stage. In the legacy appeals process, there are 3 stages, and they have to be worked linearly. So you can't progress to stage 2 or stage 3 if you don't start with stage 1. So one of the first things that we did, we analyzed the number of appeals in each stage at each of our 56 regional offices. And then we also looked at the number of employees that they had at these offices. And we began moving workload around. We would look at the inventories daily, and we would look at the number of employees daily as well, because sometimes there can be rapid shifts in the number of employees available to process appeals. And so we began moving these multiple times a week. That was one of our strategies. And then our second strategy that I think was also important is we really revised the production targets that we had for these 56 regional offices, particularly in terms of appeals. We wanted them to focus strategically their resources on that first stage of appeals in the beginning, and then as that stage decreased, the inventory in that stage, we were able to move more of the resources towards the second stage, and then finally towards the third stage. So really trying to take a very logical and systematic approach to bringing down that inventory.
Well, nobody likes change, especially if it's coming from Washington. How did you manage any reluctance there might have been to the changes that you wanted to make?
Well, one of the things I think that was very fortunate is that VBA employees do truly love serving veterans, and many VBA employees are veterans themselves, and so they really feel that personal connection with the mission. So in terms of change management, I already had a good level of buy-in, but as you noticed, it can still be hard. So I really worked on communication. I leveraged my existing VBA network with people that I already knew in the offices that were working these. I also created monthly and ad hoc calls with appeals personnel, and I opened up a chain of communication, a direct chain of communication directly to me. People could reach out to me or my teammates at any time of the day, and we would be there to assist them. We would be there to help them understand why this change needed to happen and how we were going to, how this is going to positively benefit the veterans that we serve.
And it obviously worked, Mary Frances, because I understand it's an 87% decrease in the backlog. But I want to know, what has it meant to you personally to be recognized as a Sammy's finalist?
Well, personally, I was very honored and very flattered. But it just made me realize, how important it is to have such an excellent network of professionals that I work with. I could never have done the thing, my plan could have never been executed if I didn't have an excellent team of MAs, management analysts I was working with. It never could have happened if I didn't have, 1,000 appeals personnel in the field as well. So it really made me step back and reflect on, what a team effort this truly is and how VA really does come together to serve veterans and their family members.
Well, Mary Frances, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations once again.
You're welcome, and thank you again for having me on.